Hi everybody, welcome to Tangle Break. Today we're going to do this tile using the tangles enyshou, hollibaugh, and poke root. We're going to be using the 8 basic steps of the Zentangle method. Step number 1 is gratitude and appreciation. I'm thankful for the time that we're able to take a break from our day to relax and draw. And the supplies that we're going to use are a black Micron 01 pen, a white charcoal pencil, a Zentangle pencil, a Tortillon, and a 3.5-inch white tile. And this tile was inspired by Molly from Zentangle headquarters. So let's go ahead and get started. So grab your white tile and your pen, and step 2 is the corner dots. Step 3 is the border. And then we're going to go straight to the tangles, and they will be our string also. So I'm going to look at toward the center and go to the left of that and draw a crescent moon. I went to the left and up just a little bit from the center. I'm going to fill it in, and this is the beginning of our enyshou. And my version of enyshou is that we're going to make leaves coming off of it. So I'm just making a pointed curved leaf, and then I'm just going to build off of that, drawing underneath. When I go back to the center one, I'm going to go on both sides, I'm going to come back down to the bottom here and do it again, and then I'm going to go in the middle of the ones I made and draw some more leaves. And they just sort of curve with a point. And now I'm going to go back and just put some veins in there. Just put some lines following the curves. Just giving these leaves some texture. Okay, so that is my version of enyshou. So now we're going to go ahead and do hollibaugh. So I'm just going to draw a line from the top line border to the bottom, and then I'm going to aura that, and I went right by the enyshou. So it's almost sitting on the first hollibaugh. And now I'm going to fill in the left-hand side of the tile with hollibaugh. So I'm going to make the lines and aura. And I'm just going from the corner to enyshou. And then I'm going to go from this corner back down to the enyshou. And let's draw a couple more lines, going from one side to the other. And one going down from this point. And now let's draw a couple of lines underneath. So I'm going to go from this side down, going underneath the lines of hollibaugh I just drew. Now I'm going to aura it. And I'm going to do one more line across the top, going underneath hollibaugh and aura. And I'm going to stop right there. Okay, now I'm going to turn my tile and I'm going to make poke root coming out of enyshou. And poke root, you just make a stem with a little cap and then your orb. And that's it. So your stem, a little cap, and then your orb. And I sort of aim to have the cap in the center of the orb. Okay, and we're just going to randomly put a little cluster of these. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is fill in the hollibaugh spaces with lines to do striping. And I'm making them with a little curve to them. And I'm going to fill in the different spaces in different directions just to give it some fun differences. So the stripings have a little curve to them, and we will highlight that with the shading and highlight. And I'm just going in each space in a different direction than the ones beside it. Okay, let's put a few more poke root in. I'm just looking over the tile and I think that it needs a few more poke root dangling on the side. Okay, I think that's enough poke root. So let's go back over here to the hollibaugh and fill in our striping. So I'm going to color in every other one in each of the sections to make our stripes. So just relax and enjoy relaxing coloring. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and start with step 6 to shade, and grab your pencil. And we're going to go ahead and go on the outside of hollibaugh just to give it a little distinction here. Let it pop off the paper. And then I'm going to go on each side of all the hollibaugh that we drew. And along the border. Okay, now let's go to the enyshou, and I'm going to put in extra shadow around the leaves and in the crevice here and along the outside. Okay, now let's move to the poke root, and I'm going to put some shadow in every little area where the stem is going up into the poke root, where that little cap is that we put at the top of the stem. So I'm giving a little shadow there on every one. Now I'm going to go back to where they're on top of each other and put a little shadow on the one that is underneath. Now I'm going to put a little C shape on the orb of the poke roots. Just to give it a rounded 3D appearance. Okay, now grab your Tortillon, and we're going to blend in all of this and make the shadows. And I really enjoy blending it in and just making these little circular shapes when I can. And along the edges here on both sides of hollibaugh, and you're going right across the striping, which will give it a really cool shadow. And then we're going to go back at the end and put our white charcoal pencil right down the center of each of these sections, and it'll make it pop and look like it's actually has a 3D effect. That it's you'll be able to see how it pops up. It's pretty cool. Okay, so now move to the poke root and blend all of those areas in. The little area where the stem goes into poke root. And then the little C shape on top of the orb. Okay, so now grab your white charcoal pencil and we're going to put the highlights in the sections of hollibaugh. So right down the center of each section, going along with the curved lines that we made, I'm going across the top, just making a highlighted line. And it just makes it look more rounded. It makes the striping raise up some more. It gives it a more 3D rolling effect. So I'm doing it right down the center of each section according to the curved lines. Like this one goes this way. And there you go. So now it's time for step 7, initial and sign. Grab your pen and pick a place to put your initials or your chop, and I'm going to have it dangling up here with the poke root. And then turn it over on the back. And this is Tangle Break. And the tangles today were enyshou, hollibaugh, and poke root. And step 8 is appreciate again. And I hope you enjoyed our break today. And I'll see you next time on Tangle Break. Bye for now.